Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us for making a splash on social media marketing for real estate. My name's Amanda. I'm our marketing director here at State Listings for MyStateMLS and New York State MLS. So I wanted to come on here and tell you guys because before I worked for the MLS, I actually worked directly for real estate agents, handling their online marketing and online profiles. So I wanted to share some of the tips that I gathered then, some of the things I've learned since then that I think can really help you up your social media game. So the first thing I hear from a lot of folks is, why should I be on social media? I know it can seem really daunting, but one of the things that we're going to cover here is how to kind of start slow and make sure that you don't get overwhelmed when you're starting and make sure that your efforts are going in the right places. So let's talk a little bit. Here are 3 of my top reasons for why social media, especially if traditional advertising has always helped you sell for your entire career. For example, you use flyers, you post for sale signs, you post in the newspaper. It can feel pointless to invest all of the time and energy that it takes to build and maintain a social media presence. But our world is becoming increasingly digital, especially right now, when many areas are still exclusively work from home, things like that. Online marketing is the new normal, especially if folks can't go outside to see your physical advertising. You need to be able to get to them where they already are. Social media marketing is one of the best ways to take your business to the next level, and bonus points, at least to begin, it's completely free. So here's why. The first thing is to go beyond local. When you're advertising, as I mentioned, with that for sale sign in the yard, only folks who drive by that property are going to see it. Only folks who get your local newspaper will see your ads. Granted, that's usually who you're marketing to, but you're missing out on folks who are moving to your area. We've mentioned this before when talking about digital marketing, but my last 4 moves, I didn't get to see the property in person before I moved there because they were all long distance moves. So I had to work with agents who were willing to virtually show me the property and who were willing to work with a distance buyer. And so the agents that were available online and really showing off their properties are the ones who got my business. This is especially true for areas like major cities who tend to attract out-of-town buyers. I especially know we have a lot of folks who move from New York to Florida. So especially if you're a Florida agent, you really need to be online because you're getting a lot of out-of-state business. And if they can't find you, except for if they're already in Florida, you're going to lose out on an entire segment of your market. The next thing is it helps you take advantage of your network. You may have mentioned before to your family and friends that you're a real estate agent. You may have handed out your card, but chances are they may not remember when a friend mentions needing an agent. You might not be the first thing that pops to mind, and you really should be. Posting your listings on social media, asking your friends and family to like your page allows you to really use your network and allows you to stay top of mind when they need to recommend an agent. They get that daily reminder of who they should be recommending to their friends. And even better, on most social media, they can tag their friends in the comments of your post with 1 click. As much as you can make recommending you low effort for other people will help you get more referrals. And the third is that this isn't guaranteed with social media, but there's a chance that especially if you have really interesting properties, they could go viral. Tagging people in the comments of your post isn't limited to your friends and family or even past clients who are fans of your page. They can tag a friend, and then that friend may tag other folks who are looking in your area, and soon enough it's been shared thousands of times. And again, that can happen in just minutes in the way that picking up your business card or your flyer and having to physically bring it to someone just can't. Next, we are going to talk about what sites you should be using depending on your business. My first recommendation when you're choosing a platform is to take things slow. Every social media site, they're not created equal, and the same content won't work on each. If you try to post the same message to, for example, TikTok as you do to Twitter, they just won't translate and you'll look inauthentic and out of touch. So it's really important to focus your efforts at the start. Attempting to master every site at once is a great way to confuse and alienate potential followers. So if you haven't started your social strategy yet, choose 1 network to start. And then when you expand, you'll need to create distinct content for each network. So let's talk about what social networks are out there. The biggest one that we'll talk about is Facebook. It has 2.4 billion monthly active users. It is the most widely used social media platform in the US. And as some folks have mentioned, they're using Facebook Business. You're able to create a professional page that's separate from your personal account. Personal accounts are limited to 5,000 friends. And on top of that, you may want to be able to post personal things that you don't want to broadcast to every potential client. So I recommend setting up a separate page. In addition, Facebook business pages have features that personal pages do not. The other great thing about Facebook is they allow a whole host of different types of content, including text, photos, video, and one of my favorites is their live streaming video capability, and we'll get into that a bit later. The second largest platform is YouTube, which has 2 billion monthly active users. It's actually the world's second most visited site after Google, and it is the world's second largest search engine. Really popular videos here are product reviews and how-to type of content. There's also LinkedIn, which I see a lot of agents on to make more professional connections, especially if you work in more commercial real estate. This might be a good platform for you. It has 260 million monthly active users, and it's a focus on professional networking through connections. You can also join groups on LinkedIn. Some groups will allow you to email everybody in that group, which is a great way to advertise your listings and to build your network. The other thing with LinkedIn is you can write and share articles directly on your page, allowing you to showcase your expertise in different niches. If you work with a really, really specific type of client, again, like I mentioned for commercial real estate, if you, for example, work with luxury new construction, you would be able to publish articles about that niche that'll help you get the attention of your potential clients. Twitter is another really popular one with over 340 million monthly active users. This is approximate because they don't share their data. Twitter is short form. It has text-based posts that are under 280 characters. It's mostly used for time-sensitive or breaking news. If you want something to be seen, I highly recommend, after you tweet it once, trying to post it again maybe a few hours later with an ICYMI in case you missed it in front of it, because the half-life of a tweet is just 18 minutes. It is short form, very frequent posting, not a great one to try to conquer immediately, but some folks have used it to really great effect. And then finally, a lot of you mentioned that you're also on Instagram, and that's great. It has 1 billion monthly active users and 500 million open Instagram stories per month. So if any of you remember Snapchat, sort of like Snapchat where you could post disappearing photos and videos, Instagram stories are the same functionality. They disappear after 24 hours, but you can save them as highlights on your brand's page. They don't show up in your followers' feeds. There is a separate section of the app for them. The great thing about Instagram is that stories and photos can be cross-posted to Facebook. So it's maybe my one exception to the start with one network rule. For Instagram and Facebook, I think as long as you're prepared to work on a coherent strategy for the two, those two could be started simultaneously. On Instagram, as on a lot of platforms, videos receive higher engagement than photos. So especially if you have a gorgeous property that you are able to safely access right now, I highly recommend either yourself or hiring a videographer to take a couple of walkthrough videos. Those you can even edit down or take kind of splices of, because videos are limited in length on Instagram. And that gives you multiple days worth of content to post on Instagram. Again, these are less used in real estate right now, but there's always exceptions to the rules. And if you have really creative ideas that might work well on some of these platforms, here are a few additional social networks. The first one is TikTok, which has been in the news a lot lately, but it's seen explosive growth in the last year. It has 800 million monthly active users, over 2/3 of which are aged 16 to 24. It's short form video content, which is usually humor or music and dancing related. If you work with younger buyers, this is the place to be. This is the place that you will be seen. If your passion is working with, first-time home buyers, working with renters, it may be time to download the app and take a look and see if you have any creative ideas for how you could contribute. There's also Snapchat, which I mentioned before. It has 382 million monthly active users. 90% of Americans aged 13 to 24 use Snapchat, and 82% of users are under 34. So again, this is really more important if you work with much younger buyers. If you're working with first-time home buyers, folks who are not reachable by TV ads. Over 72% of Gen Z Snapchat users can't be reached by television ads. Either they don't watch TV, they only watch on streaming services like Netflix and Hulu where they have ads disabled. If you need to reach this demographic, Snapchat is the place to be. Finally, there's Pinterest, which has 322 million monthly active users. 72% of which are women. You can pin links like products, recipes, and tutorials from across the web. I mentioned Pinterest here because I've seen folks use it to really great effect, but it requires kind of a completely different strategy that isn't really reproducible across your social media networks for real estate specifically. But if you're already on there all the time, chances are you may have some good ideas of things that you could share to bring in potential business. So I get asked all the time, which is the best one? But there isn't a one-size-fits-all best platform. The best platform is the one where you're best able to reach and connect with your target buyers. For this presentation, I'll be focusing on Facebook. That's because it's the most popular. Like I said, 2.4 billion monthly active users. It has a much wider age range than most of the other networks we've touched on. It also has the widest range of functionality. However, if you are aiming for a specific demographic, try experimenting with new platforms. Like I mentioned before, if you work with primarily younger buyers, TikTok and Snapchat are the place to be. If your homes are primarily either homes that can be flipped, if you like listing the handyman special, YouTube, where folks go to learn how to do new things, such as how to do different repairs in houses that they may be flipping or they may be fixing up, that may be a better place for you. But again, because Facebook has the widest range of functionality and really gives you a lot of room to grow and lets you leverage your existing network of friends you already have there, that's where we're going to be starting today. So when you're choosing your ideal platform, I've put up this little checklist of questions that you should ask yourself to determine which the right one is for you. The first one is, who is my ideal client? And I know that so many agents I've talked to, their immediate answer is, well, I can sell to anyone. And that's true. We believe that our members are awesome real estate pros who could sell any house and they could sell to anyone. However, when you're building a social media presence, it's helpful to narrow it down when you're starting out. So don't think of it as excluding other kinds of clients, but let's focus on the kind of client that makes you the most successful, and then focus on attracting that ideal client while continuing to serve everyone else. Think about what your ideal client cares about, what they're worried about, how you can solve their problems, and where they're spending their time online. So for example, I mentioned earlier that folks who are aged 16 to 24 are probably on TikTok. Folks who like to watch a lot of how-to DIY content, those folks you're going to find on YouTube. So now that we've decided where, we have to decide how to start. It's really, really important to make a good first impression on social media. So let's ask the dreaded question, when's the last time you updated your social media profile? And I'm not talking when did you make a post, I'm saying when did you last go through the about info on your profile and make changes to make sure that it's updated to your current business? Since many of you are either starting from scratch or have just realized that you maybe need to edit it, let's talk about what you should add when you're first setting up your social media profile. The first thing that your profile needs is your full name. Folks need to be able to find you. They're going to want to look up reviews, see who you work for, all of that. You also need to have a photo of you. This doesn't need to be a professional headshot, especially if you're just getting started, but make sure that it's a high resolution photo and that it's well lit. Resist the urge to over filter and Facetune. It looks fake. I know that it can be really satisfying to add all of the beauty filters, but other folks can tell how heavily edited they are and it reduces credibility. Just take a nice well-lit photo of you. You can even look in your living room. We've mentioned photo tips in here before. Stand in your living room and look for the sunniest time of day, the time that it has the best lighting, and just either you yourself or have a family member take a photo of you. If you don't have a professional camera, that's totally fine. Your phone's camera, they've just gotten better and better, but make sure that you use the back lens of your camera because it is much better than the front-facing lens. Also, if you are using Facebook or any other site to get business, your leads need to know how to contact you. So make sure that you include your contact information on your page. Facebook for business pages can even allow buyers to message you without leaving the page. You can also reinforce your contact information with a banner image or additional posts where it's allowed. For example, we'll update our Facebook header when we're working on different projects. From March through May or June, Dave and I were running Facebook webinars or Facebook Live videos twice a week. So we changed our banner to tell folks how to sign up for those. Make sure that you're updating your banner image on your pages or your pinned post with the information that you most want to get out to potential customers. You should also include a link to your website. again, part of the reason to be on social media is to get leads. You need to be sending them to a website that you own and you control. You want to drive the traffic to your business. And finally, the name of your brokerage, again, so they know how to contact you and know that your business is legitimate. One of the biggest things that I see out there is folks who have the photo, they put up a header image on their page, and they set their hours and phone number, but they're really missing out on all the additional branding areas available on your page. So here's how to make the most of your profile. The first thing is, I've mentioned your profile header several times. Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn allow a large branded image right at the top of your page. You can use an editor like Canva to size your image appropriately. So that's canva.com, like canvas minus the S. I personally use Photoshop, but that is a pretty expensive subscription service. So if you use Canva, they have more limited editing capabilities, but they already have most major social media image sizes pre-built in, and they have enough editing capability for you to create your images through their service. As I mentioned before, you can use that to highlight additional info. For example, if you're going to be on a webinar coming up, if you were recently featured in the news, any news that you'd like somebody coming to your page for the first time to see should go in your header image. Some folks just use it as an additional branding area. Another thing you could use it for is any just listed listings, or I know an agent who posts her most recent sale every week as her header image. And so folks get to see the most recent sale each week. Again, just kind of pushing her to top of mind for, oh my goodness, another week and this woman has made another sale. And in addition, it allows her to have new content constantly changing there every week. The other big branding area that I see people miss is the pinned post. Twitter, Facebook, and several other platforms allow a pinned post at the top of your feed. You post it just like any normal post, but then you'll select the menu on the image or text, whatever you've posted, and you'll click pin to the top of my page. This helps you share additional information when your profile is limited, especially in places like Twitter, which has a really, really short bio, one spot for a link, and that's about it. On Twitter, you can create a thread of tweets. So you could put all of the information you want somebody to see and then quote tweet it with, here's my introduction thread, and pin that quote tweet to the top of your profile for folks to be able to see the whole thread of tweets right when they check on your profile. So now that you all have a checklist of what to do as soon as you get off this webinar to update your profiles, let's talk about what to post. So my first question here is, do you have a content schedule? How do you decide what and when to post? When it comes to when you should make a post, consistency is the most important. Evaluate what time you have available and determine a posting schedule based on that. Once per week is your bare minimum. I highly recommend doing more, but if you have a presence, that is the bare minimum that you should be doing to make it clear that your page is still alive and that you're still posting. For platforms other than Twitter, I wouldn't post more than once a day, maybe twice if you have a really explicit reason to do so. But once a day is frankly enough. For most platforms, especially if it's just you and you're just starting out, 3 to 4 times per week is sufficient. So I really encourage you to strive to hit once a day when you're able to, and once you sort of built up some content, some ideas of what you'd like to post. And if you're having trouble figuring out what you want to post, consider scheduling the type of post as well. For example, here at the MLS, we use #MotivationMonday, and we post success-related quote every Monday to get our followers excited about the week to come. You can also schedule a post about upcoming open houses on Thursdays or Fridays to give your followers time to plan to attend if they're looking for a home. Here at the MLS, we also do a Fantasy Home Friday where we get to have a really fun time looking through some of the most luxurious listings on the MLS and choose our fantasy home of the week to share with our followers. So I encourage you to take some time thinking about what other types of posts you can schedule. There are a whole bunch of different sources out there who have done the research on social media. I highly suggest checking out sources like HubSpot, which has done research on the best times to post. You can then use services like HubSpot, which I mentioned above, Buffer, or Hootsuite that allow you to schedule your posts ahead of time. That way you don't have to remember every single day to click that post button at the right time. For us, we schedule out about a week in advance, and then I'll pop in with timely posts occasionally if necessary, but our bread and butter content gets scheduled weekly. That means that I spend maybe an hour or two on Fridays getting everything prepared, and then I'm done thinking about it for the week. Aside from, of course, responding to comments, checking out what anyone has to say, but I don't have to think about posting more than once a week. When you're on a social network, you need to act like a person and not a sales robot. This is a huge pitfall that I see really frequently, where agents are amazing at connecting with people in person, but on social media, they kind of stop acting like that person and just start pushing their listings, pushing their sales, like pushing everything that they're doing. It's okay to post more direct sales content occasionally. You have amazing listings, and of course you want to share them. But folks are on here to connect with family, to connect with friends. So a blatant advertisement right in the middle of that can get pretty jarring. Aim for 2 to 3 informational or funny posts per sales post. And for sales content, focus on how it benefits your followers. For example, if home buyers are following you, focus on why they should be excited about the house. If sellers are following you, some really good informational posts that you could include would be updates on the market, so that you can tell any potential sellers following you, hey, now is really a good time to sell your home, or here are the hottest markets where you should be considering, all different things like that. But make sure that you're catering your content to the kind of people following you. And again, be social. Interact with your followers. This is a huge thing. If you start to get comments on your post, make sure that you're liking them, you're responding to them. We also really encourage, when you make a post, in the caption, ask questions. It'll help you get more comments. It'll help folks engage with your post, which will both get it seen by more people on social media and also help you build more loyal followers. And one of the biggest things is to be a resource. Offer to answer questions people might have about the home buying and selling process, even if they're not already your clients. And make sure they know that you check messages and you're here to help. Be friendly and personable. Even a bit irreverent is okay, depending on your target client. Keep it overall clean, but something that we'll post is, there's a Facebook page I really enjoy called The Lighter Side of Real Estate, which will occasionally post memes or little jokes about the market. And those don't have a very strict professional tone of voice. They're funny, but overall clean. And that kind of humor, I'd recommend checking them out for an idea of what's appropriate. Finally, be authentic. Potential leads can tell when you're selling them instead of actually trying to connect. And there's nothing that'll alienate your potential followers and therefore potential leads, sales, customers faster than that fake sales personality. So if you are coming from a point where you have zero social media presence, and I just told you that you should aim to post once a day, so you should aim for 7 times a week, that might be a bit of a shock, because that's a lot to start doing when you're coming from absolute zero. So let's start off with, it is absolutely okay to repost from other sources, as long as they don't specifically forbid this, and as long as you give credit. For example, what we'll do if I repost a meme from Lighter Side of Real Estate, which I mentioned before, we'll leave their watermark on, and in the caption, we'll write our own caption, then add via the Lighter Side of Real Estate at the end of it. So folks know that we're not claiming credit for this. We just thought it was funny and we shared. The other thing is to subscribe to real estate news lists to get interesting articles to choose from. For example, Realtor.com frequently shares celebrity home sale news. I was looking at one earlier today about a YouTuber who just purchased a $4.1 million home. So you could post articles like that, especially if it's a celebrity that you know a lot of your followers love, and just say, I wish that I was Beyonce and I could live in this mansion. What do you guys think of it? Or sometimes they'll just post really weird and interesting homes, and you can talk about what your favorite features are. You can also use photo editors like Canva to create posts. They have, as I mentioned before, social sizing templates. So different social media networks will have a different size of post that works the best for them. And Canva already has those preloaded so that you can really easily create those images. Also, if you have beautiful photos of the listing, share them. That's awesome content. As I mentioned before, every Friday we share the most luxurious home on our MLS and talk about why we love it. And folks love clicking through those. I myself also have a great time clicking through photos of listings. So that's a place where more direct sales content is okay and will definitely be interesting to your audience. Finally, ask questions. If your homeowner is considering repainting before they list their home, set up a poll to see what colors your followers like better. That increases your engagement and gets your homeowner some answers. Or if you have a buyer looking for a specific type of home, consider posting, asking if anyone's looking to list. You may get another lead and you'll get your buyer their fantasy home. The final note about social media, or about your tone, I've mentioned this a bunch of times so far, but honestly, keep it real. It is both easy and fatal to your account to lose credibility on social media. The biggest point here is to be realistic, especially now where in many areas the market is still seeing movement, but it's definitely slowed down. Don't pretend it's booming if it's not. Saying now is the best time to sell your home sounds tone deaf to your followers and also undermines your credibility. You don't need to stop talking about sales, but be real. You can say something like, of course, more people are staying home, but we're still making sales. People are still moving throughout the pandemic. That's something that can be really encouraging to hear. Finally, it's okay to be human. Being authentic and personable helps you find more engaged followers who are your ideal customers. And it's honestly just more fun. If you're going to be putting all the effort into creating your social profile, make sure that you're having as good of a time as possible. If you made a silly, relatable mistake in, your own home renovation or things like that, consider sharing if it's relevant. Finally, you're a community expert, so widen your content to include posts about the areas you serve. If you work in a specific neighborhood, it's okay to share posts from other businesses in that neighborhood saying, hey, if you move into the area where my listings are, look at this awesome restaurant you could check out, or this really, really cool area of town. So I mentioned before that one of my favorite features of Facebook is the ability to go live. So let's talk about that. So Facebook Live is streaming live video that goes directly to your Facebook audience. Page visitors will see the live video in your feed, and followers will receive a notification that you're live with a link to view. Viewers can either comment in real time or react with the like, love, etc. buttons. And the best part about it is it's automatically saved as a video to your page when it's finished, which means that you're not just creating content for folks who are viewing live, you're creating more content that'll be available on your page even after. So let's talk about when to go live, because I think that's where a lot of folks only try live once or twice. They're not really sure what they should be using it for. Facebook Live is incredibly versatile. It can be used for everything from quick announcements to virtual events. Consider creating a schedule and promoting it. So as I mentioned before, we went live on our page every Tuesday and Friday at 11 a.m. during shelter-in-place orders to just make sure that we were still connecting with our members, even though we weren't really able to see them at all of the conferences we planned to go to this year, and making sure that we were sharing information. Regulations were changing constantly. So twice a week, we were out there talking to our viewers. Regular timing means that our agents know when to log on to join us, and we can build up an audience. I feel like so many people have a specific topic that they could create a series of classes on. Obviously, mine is digital marketing. I've already done it before, but think about what your specialty is and how you could share it. The other option is you can go live when exciting things are happening. You don't need to schedule every single live stream, and if you want to comment on a current event or share exciting news, it's a great time to start a live video. In addition, if you're at a listing appointment, doing a first walkthrough with a homeowner who agrees to this, of course, you can promote, hey, I'm at a first walkthrough of this listing. It looks gorgeous. I just want to show you guys. I'm so excited to post this later today, but I wanted you to get the first look at it. And again, the video will be saved so later visitors can still catch the replay even if they weren't available when you first went live. A huge thing that we've seen throughout recent months is virtual open houses. There's a good chance that you have a vacant listing that you're able to access safely. And Facebook Live is a great venue for virtual open houses. I've seen folks schedule these just like normal open houses. They'll post the information on the listing and treat them not exactly like a normal open house, but still give buyers kind of an open time to come check out the property. The first thing to do when you want to hold a virtual open house is to prep the home and your presentation the same as you would for an in-person open house. Make sure it's staged, make sure it's clean, brightly lit. Make sure to advertise beforehand on your social media and in any emails you send out. Create a flyer or brochure, just like you would for a regular open house, but here's how you convert those casual page visitors into leads. Offer to email out the flyer that you've created to any viewers. This lets you collect their email address and add them to your CRM, and provides an additional touch point for you after the open house to connect with them and say, hey, thanks so much for visiting. Here's this flyer I promised. Do you have a real estate agent? Do you have any other questions about this home? Finally, unlike an in-person showing, you can tailor a virtual showing to highlight the best features of a property. So do that. For example, one of my favorite examples is I heard an agent discussing how she handles virtual open houses, and she had a listing where the fridge could make shaped ice cubes. So she started in front of the fridge instead of in front of the front door to share, like, hey, here's the craziest part of this house, which helps grab folks' attention and really get the ball rolling. This is the end of our presentation for today. But before I get to that, I just wanted to put my contact information up on the screen in case you guys have any additional questions, in case you're not a member of MyState or New York State MLS yet and would like to join. We do offer discounted office pricing when whole offices join together. But other than that, thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope you're staying well. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and we'll talk to you again soon. All right, thanks. Bye.